Okay. Asia Mahara here. Does the person that you met, or did the person that you met, or the person you're with now with borderline personality, likely untreated, do they give you this incredible, super kind of special love in the beginning that gets you so into it all? Is it their fault? Do they manipulate you into that? Because they're giving you, right? I've heard, there's a couple comments on the channel where people are talking about, wow, it was the best love, and it was so super in the beginning, and I'm not really ever thinking that I can recover from that. That type of sentiment. I'm not quoting a comment directly. And the thing is, there's nothing about the beginning of these relationships, as I think most people know by now, if they've gone through and you're now on the bumpy roller coaster recycling the relationship. You've been ghosted, you reversed Hoovered, they Hoovered, all these situations, or they discarded you or ghosted you, or you broke up with them, or you might still be going through it. You might be newer to it. But most people know categorically and clearly that the person with BPD in the beginning is not loving you. You don't know it then, okay? You don't know it then. But they're not loving you. They're not giving you this extra special, amazing love. And it might feel like that in the beginning with the mirroring, the idealization, and people with BPD's codependent people-pleasing. And the urge to merge with you, which is driven by so many different factors in their subconsciousness. So, the fact there's no boundary between self and other, the fact that they have a loss of self, and that they need to try to seek identity through you. They don't know any of this consciously. So in the beginning, yeah, it feels fantastic, right? Till that honeymoon phase lasts, till it ends with a split to major devaluation, which doesn't necessarily end everything. It can in some cases, and it can do so in dating in weeks. But for a lot of other people, the first split to devaluation gets you really confused, but you're loving them. You're loving them now because you can't know what's going on then, right? And then you're going to get into that bumpy, roller coaster, up and down, chaotic and dramatic relationship that some people may still be going through. Lots of people know what I'm talking about. But here's the thing. People with BPD don't ever give you what you thought they gave you. They're not able to love. They're not able to feel love, receive love, except sometimes in a very childlike way. But that's not what happens in the initial, when you meet them. All this intensity, and for many people, all that physical chemistry. And then the intensity just sweeps people off their feet, whether it's a man with a woman with BPD or a woman with a man with BPD. They're not the same as narcissists, but they can be quite charismatic and charming too in this first stage of getting to know you. And don't forget that people with BPD have codependency too. So they're trying to people please you to the utmost best of their ability. But what's really not accurate or true, and I think most people know this, but some people might be newer to this and wondering about it, is that the person with BPD doesn't love you the way that most believe that they were being loved, right? And so you don't know that at that time, but what's clearly really important to know when you've been split to devaluation, roller coaster ride, you're exhausted, all the other things that go along with these relationships, how hurt you're getting, how confused you are, the up and the down, the rescuing, enabling, the trying to fix them, the trying to pull them into therapy, because you're still trying to relate to the person that you thought they were. or people are still ruminating today, maybe a year or more after, about the person that you thought they were. So I just really want to put this as clearly as I can, that people with BPD, though it feels different to people in the beginning, right? Some people may not know this yet because they're newer to this. They're just figuring it all out. But most people who've been watching videos for some period of time and or who are the ex of somebody with BPD, whether you've managed full no contact or not yet, whether you're recycling relationships or not, most people I think would acknowledge, let me know what you think in the comments, that the person wasn't who you thought they were. And that love that was seemingly so palpable, real, and terrific wasn't really real, wasn't really love, wasn't really there, which you couldn't have known then, I want to reiterate. But what do you think about that now? Where are you with that now? And it continues to be a very extremely painful, difficult thing for people, after the BPD relationship breakup, however it happens, to try to then heal the unhealthy bond, right? To try to get into therapy to help yourself out, figure it all out. What happened here? Because even though there will be that all too good to be true in the beginning, that's still not the untreated person with borderline personality loving you. No, it's not about love. People with BPD confuse love with need. They need you. They want you. They want you to be, the holder of them seeking identity through you. They don't know that consciously. So the thing is, they don't offer you ever terrific, fantastic, super unbelievable love. I know physical intimacy can live up to some of those superlatives and then some. But that's often, that too is without the love component, right? Physical intimacy without them being wholly present a lot of the time. And perhaps they make requests of you that are just, like what? In that arena, so to speak. But the thing is, people with BPD don't love bomb like narcissists do. They're mirroring. It's an idealization phase of wanting to merge with you as being a reflection of them. Mirroring. They're mirroring you in the hopes that you'll mirror them. And then if you do mirror them, as maybe you try to, and validate, etc., but it's never enough. You can't soothe them. You can't satiate them, or not for long. But you just keep trying to get that person back who you thought they were. So what do you think about it now? If you're somebody who knows, and many people are still pining for that person that you thought, that borderline X, or, if you're not quite X yet, or whatever, you're like, maybe you're struggling, you need to leave the relationship, and you're like, but I want to find that him or her again, who they showed me in the beginning. But don't most people understand now, depending where you are? Some people are new, but don't you understand? And what do you think now? And how would you describe now? And where are you at with it now? If you'd like to share a comment here, with the reality that they didn't love you at all. So I've done a lot of videos on this topic over the years. They haven't all been done in the last year just to, make a point, for example. But people with BPD don't attach, don't love, can't attach, and can't love you. And they untreated. And they can't accept your love. They can't even accept your kindness. And so a lot of that meets with, you're getting really hurt. So does anybody really believe, if you're past that stage and now that was the honeymoon phase, was the beginning in the honeymoon phase? But does anybody really believe that was actually real love? And the answer might be yes, because a lot of people with codependency, no matter where you are in this process of trying to go no contact, trying to stay no contact, Maybe you recycled through the relationship several times. Maybe you're not sure if you're going to do it again or not. But the point is that someone said on a live stream recently that they got a Hoover from an ex that was a particularly very mean, untreated person with BPD who filed false court, accusations with a court against. It was a woman against a man, a BPD woman against a man. And so for months, this man is really, having a big struggle, still wanting her back, etc. And then in the live stream recently said that they'd heard from their ex with BPD who was going to drop the made-up crap that went, was before the court. They were going to drop that. And they said, I miss you. I love you. I will always love you. And then the man in the stream was like, really struggling with this. And it was like, so the belief, you may still have the belief that it was love, but this is something that you have to realize is an extremely painful disillusionment waiting for you to discover it. Right? So the man in the live stream said, but, maybe I should give her another chance. Maybe I should try again. This, in other words, what she had said that he was reporting in the live stream. This is what I've been waiting to hear. And my response on the live stream was like, but wait a minute. This is what you've been waiting to hear. I get that. Because people are still trying to believe or deny, or you're still pining, you're still in agony over the fact that they're not who you thought they were. And that drives so much rumination and cognitive dissonance. So I said to the person in the live stream, I said, well, but wait a minute, think about what your ex is saying to you. Your borderline ex is saying to you. I'll drop all the lies I told the court because I really love you and I miss you and I'll always love you. What part of filing false charges on somebody in court is love? And then why would they come back with a Hoover and say something like that? Because, well, something in their life changed. Because they were with somebody else and then likely they went through that person. And now they're looking back to the quote, pseudo-safety of how you might represent to them still object constancy. Which, by the way, that's not an enviable position to be in. So when the person on live stream said, but this is what I've been wanting to hear for the longest time because it's agony, right? After the BPD relationship breakup. And you're trying to stay no contact and it's agony. And so what I said back in the live stream was, yeah, okay, wait a minute. So this is what you always wanted to hear. And now you're hearing it. But more to the point, what's really getting heard versus what's going back into codependent denial, thinking of you, well, if you could just get back with him, you wouldn't be in the agony you're in right now, right? Instead of like you got to heal and process it to get out of the agony you're in right now. However you're suffering, wherever you are with this. So I said to the man on the live stream, I said, but remember she told you she loved you before. Remember that you were the love of her life and she told you, and I don't know this like specifically of this man, but I was just saying, like most of them do, you're the greatest thing since sliced bread and the idealization mirroring and their codependent trying to people please in the beginning. And I said, so think about it. How did she treat you? What did she do to you really when it all fell apart? When she turned out to be not who you thought she was? What does her loving you and you hearing what you want to hear again really mean? It's the borderline siren song again. It's a Hoover, but it's that, I'll give you what you want. It's similar to the beginning, but without the idealization, without the re-idealization. And so I said, just think about what it is you've wanted to hear and just think about what you're actually hearing. Because what you're actually hearing after a discard, after all kinds of agony on the other side of somebody with BPD, whether the relationship absolutely ended or not, what you're hearing is that they promise they feel so much love for you, but you've already had more than a taste of what that quote love unquote really is, because it's not love. It's not healthy love. It is pain and beyond. And so, and then the person in the live stream after, I said it in a different way, probably better than I'm saying it here now. And because it was just in real time. And then they said, oh yeah, like, of course, like I have to remember how bad they've been to me and how many ways they've hurt me and been atrocious. But the person said, but I feel, and they were getting, ahead in their codependency work, and they were saying, but I feel like I just want to run back. Pretty compelling for a lot of people, and it happens. But guess what happens when that happens? When they promise they love you, and they love you so much, and it kind of feels almost like the beginning again, but they're not really re-idealizing you. And what they're telling you with those words that have devastated you and then some throughout a relationship, or might still be, those words, if you wrote them on paper, they wouldn't be worth the paper they were written on. People with BPD don't know what love is. They don't love you. They don't most of the time see you. They don't most of the time hear you. So who they were in the beginning, not who they are. Not who maybe they could ever be. And with significant treatment, which, we're talking 8 to 16 years, which they may or may not do, may or may not stick with, people with BPD never loved you. And that is, to keeping it real here, to help you heal. Because to try to turn it into that was love, in the beginning, in the idealization, mirroring their codependent people-pleasing phase of you, where you're the greatest thing since sliced bread, and they just love everything that you do. Yeah, people still have cognitive dissonance about this, and codependent denial, and sometimes for months, a year, or years. And if people don't get into their own healing recovery journey, this can lead to the recycling of the relationship again and again. And the one thing I know from working with clients for 30 plus years, from having had a couple of relationships with people with BPD, one when I was just about recovered, and one 2 years, 2 years ago it ended in her taking her life. Whew. So I know what it's like to love someone while they're not able to love you back. And then to lose them. And in my case, I lost that partner to her taking her life. Is that worse than when they're just gone out of your life? I mean, it probably is, but who's measuring pain? Because you're devastated. So these words, this idea that the borderline so gave you love in the beginning, no. It's like, refer to my video if you haven't watched it yet, the borderline mirage. That's what it is. And they confuse love with need, and so they're all about trying to people please you through their codependency because they're trying to get what they need. And in a different way, people with codependency are trying to get what they need in these relationships too, but not in the same. It's not the same. Different repetition compulsion cycles. But make no mistake about it, and I've done a lot of videos over the course of time, going back several years, and a couple more recently and some in between, that this message is something that people really need to be able to hear, really need to be able to work through, because it's going to help eventually with the rumination. It's going to help with you continuing to pine away for the person that they never were, as if they almost, in your cognitive dissonance, it feels to you now, even 6 months, a year, 2 years, or however long later, but like they were real, and like you screwed it up somehow. And if you'd have just done this or that better, love was never Love is never on the table in these relationships. So people with BPD never did love you in some way to then just crush you. Even though you might have felt crushed, or you might feel that way right now. But that's not something they consciously do. And what they do, that whether they're aware of it or not, doesn't excuse it. No. But then that's where people with codependency have to step up and realize that where's your responsibility for, no, not getting into the relationship, not what the person with BPD did, but where's your responsibility to you right now to not keep repeating what feels really compelling to want to repeat if there's an opportunity, under the guise always of love that isn't love at all. So make no mistake about it. Even in the idealization phase, it wasn't love. It felt like that to you, and that's what you experienced. And you're probably still, many people after the BPD relationship breakup, however it ends, are still pining away for the person they thought that the person with BPD was, for the love that you still are absolutely feeling that you have for a person that isn't even real, a person that's gone so easily because they never were there. I don't know how much more clearly I could try to say this, and when I say this, it's not about trying to insult anybody. It's about how much I know this is a crucial piece of acceptance that people need to get to. And there's a reason, there's a real reason, palpable, that applies to almost, well, to everybody who has codependency, why you can't stop pining and ruminating for who they really weren't when you know that that who you thought they were isn't even real or possible. And I'm out here to work with you to help you with that and share much more about that and put that into an active healing and recovery process if you resonate with me. So, just the last thing I'm going to say in this video is, they never loved you. And I'm sorry to have to say that. But the sooner you can start to radically accept that, and you go full no contact, and you get yourself into healing, recovery, and into therapy, the sooner you're going to start to feel better. Because it's the suffering people are going through with this. There aren't even adjectives to describe it. It's really horrible. And people who've had other relationships in their life, etc., there's something very unique about the BPD relationship and the BPD breakup. And I've been working with people for 30 years to heal this, 30 plus years. So if I resonate with you, I'm out here to help you. Make no mistake about it. The borderline, untreated, even if a bit treated, never loved you. It's not about you, and it's not your fault. And you didn't do anything wrong. And so, yeah, that's still going to hit people hard. And that's not my intention at all. This is the part of keeping it real and accurate to help you heal, to help you reflect, to hopefully help you grow. And yes, I'm aware, as I get a lot of email thanking me for videos, I'm aware that some people say, when I heard you say this or that, I cried. Or I got really angry and then I cried. And I would refer you again to the video, I think it's a podcast video I did, called Inside BPD Idealization. Because in there I talk about that idealization is not what people think it is. Compared to devaluation, they're very similar. What's the difference? It felt so great in the beginning. And you've been trying to get back that great feeling ever since. Make no mistake about it. No borderline in the idealization, mirroring, and their codependent people-pleasing, in that initial phase, in the honeymoon phase, it's not real love. So you can't really get through a healing and recovery process without at some point working that through And then, like I said, there's another whole component to it that causes endless rumination and pining away and keeps people really stuck and not able, maybe even to choose therapy or get into healing and recovery. And I know what that is, and I work with clients, and they find that out. And it is a core piece of what helps people heal. Anyway, take care. I know this won't be easy to hear, but it's what everybody needs to realize. There is no love with the adverse experience and the way you're treated, and not even in the idealization phase. There's no love from untreated people with BPD. So take care.